Hello, and I'd like to pick up a few comments made. I was going to say made by a group of a number of different people across the comments page, but when I look at them in detail, they're all made by the same person. This person is called Drop Dude John. So, in the first place, there's a piece by Levi Landlord, and says, "Is the EU punishing Greece? No. So why say in the Mirror headline EU is punishing UK? They have the same problem, total tripe." I don't understand where that is, but to drop Dude John then says, "Is the EU punishing Greece? Yes, and it has for years." Absolutely, John. What are you on about? Well, we agree on that, don't we? And Greece didn't exit the EU, so where is the comparison? Well, Greece provided the Brexit name. It was Greece's threat to Grexit, to leave the EU, that gave us the terminology for Brexit. So I think we should remember that. And then a little bit below that, Drop Dude John gives me another fine piece of comment. Legal and illegal immigration are not just terms, no more than 27 in 30 zone or 35 in a 30 zone are just terms. They are descriptors for two forms of immigration, just to be clear, one legal and one illegal. This is very tautological. To brush them off as just terms is ridiculous, as you can then place any illegal action on a par with a legal action by describing it as just terms. That's clearly nonsense, Prof. I challenge you again. Go somewhere you need a visa without one and challenge your refusal to travel or gain entry as just terms and see how far you get. Well, as far as you go there, you're absolutely right, Drop Dude John. But the point about asylum is that under the 1951 Refugee Convention, it doesn't matter how you get to a country, as long as you then immediately, or pretty immediately, and this is where the direct term comes from, the urgency of making this claim. As long as you claim asylum, you are no longer denied a visa. You are then processed as an asylum claimant, and that asylum is then judged to be valid or invalid. If it's judged to be valid, at that moment you are legal, by the way. If it is judged to be invalid, you are then given time to leave the country, and should you fail to leave, then you are an illegal migrant. And Mrs. Thatcher was very clear. She drew a distinction between legal and illegal migrants. A legal migrant is somebody who has been, who has either got a visa or who has been taken in and is going through the asylum process. An illegal migrant is somebody whose visa has expired and they haven't left the country or regularized their situation, or it's somebody who has been refused asylum, has failed in any form of appeal, and has not left the country. These were the two definitions. So what we've got today is a redefinition of the term legal and illegal migrant, a redefinition drawn up by Suella Braverman in the Nationality and Borders Act. It was done in November last year, and until the end of November last year, Suella Braverman herself had to concede to Tim Lawton in a select committee that should a migrant make his way, a hypothetical migrant from Africa, for whom there are no legal and just routes for claiming asylum, should a migrant make his way from Africa, an unnamed hypothetical state in Africa, to the UK and come to the UK on a small boat, then as soon as he reaches the shores of Britain, he should claim asylum, and then he will be regularized, and she agreed that this would be the case. So, Drop Dude John, you are playing around with words as much as Suella Braverman is playing around with words. Now, that law, the law of nationality and borders law, has not been in existence long enough to know how well it fares as a law and how much it's going to be challenged. I would imagine that it will be heavily challenged and that much of its content is not going to work. Because it is against the principle of the 1951 Refugee Convention. Now, we have a choice. We can leave that 1951 Refugee Convention. We can leave the European Court of Human Rights and the European Convention, or all those things. We can leave that. ECHR, gone. But that puts Northern Ireland in danger, and it puts our relationship and our trade relationship with Europe in danger. It also puts us on a level with Russia and Belarus as the only countries in this continental area who have been part of the ECHR and are no longer, or were denied in the first place. I would have to double check about whether Russia has ever been part of the ECHR, but it does fall under its orbit. And so I think it's very nice to see you supporting Suella Braverman's new law, but I think it is important we don't give the impression that law has been in existence since time immemorial and that this is what the words mean. These words have been redefined and reapplied. And until we can hear back from the courts whether or not it works, I'm afraid I reserve judgment. And I'm very cautious. Your second paragraph, the problem with a global solution is that you would have to apply Western standards of democracy and human rights across the globe, and one major religion would stand in the way of that without a doubt. So the solution isn't coming anytime soon, is it? Shipping that problem here will only increase it as a problem. We need to stand firm in Europe against illegal immigration and protect our shared cultures and values in Europe, and not see them eroded. We have something in Europe worth fighting for and protecting. Well, your evasive reference to what I presume is Islam is again mistaken. We owe so much to Islam. The fact that that there are variants of Islam today which have got mixed up with cultural inhospitality and cultural issues and Wahhabism and so on, should never swamp the reality of the debt that we owe to Islam. Without the Caliph of Baghdad in I think it was the 8th century, ordering the building of a library to rival that that was destroyed in Alexandria, and getting books translated from Greek and Indian languages into the common language, Arabic, we would not have modern mathematics. So modern mathematics is loaded with Arabic words like algebra, algorithm. I don't know how the YouTube algorithm works, but there we are. It's definitely an Arabic word. And it's from that time that we get the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and the decimal point. And it's from that point, it's from that time that we get a lot of the works of Aristotle, a few of the works of Plato, heavily censored, and they make their way up through Islamic Spain and into Catholic Spain, and from there across to the Spanish territories in Italy, where they were consumed vigorously by people like Thomas Aquinas, which launched that first Renaissance. And I think indeed the Renaissance itself probably owes a great deal to that effort by Islam. It's from there that we have the great philosophical and mathematical discoveries in Islam, the invention of flight, the philosophical proof for the existence of God, and so on. All of these things, which were then reworked in the European Renaissance, were there in their infancy in the Islamic world. I think it was in Cordoba that there was the first flight recorded, long before it was done in Italy. And so we should try not to be prejudiced against Islam, and I can think of many countries with an Islamic background who would very much support the ideas of redefining migration, redefining what migrants are. We must not judge Islam solely by the Wahhabi sect and then by association, of course, because it's Wahhabism which lies at the heart of the Taliban manifestation. We must not judge Islam by the Taliban and by MBS. We must judge Islam by the extraordinary flowering of knowledge, the deep reverence for clarity, because Islam is a religion that looks for clarity and seeks peace. And I think to cast Islam as an adversary is a foolish move, and to speak about Islam in some sort of evasive way is both foolish and demeaning. I don't think we should be doing it. But but then the third piece is Song Scoops 4205, because I talk about laziness a fair amount. Laziness comes in all forms. It starts with yourself. So I take that as a rebuke, and thank you very much. I shall do my very best not to be lazy in future. But I am also very much aware that I sometimes forget what I'm talking about, and I sometimes lapse into ers and ums, and I will try and avoid doing this, but I can't promise at all. Thank you.